Good afternoon and Jai Hind to all my dear children. I'm your Tulika ma'am and I'm again here with you in your virtual class for English. Children, today we will be taking up the first flight book and the seventh chapter I'll be teaching you, Glimpse of India. Now children, what is the meaning of glimpse of India? Glimpse. Glimpse means a glance, isn't it? So, what do we understand by the title? The title tells us that we would have a quick picture of the tradition and the culture of our country, India. Right? Do you agree with me? What ideas do you have glancing at the title? This is what you have, isn't it? Now, children, I think our traditions, our values, and heritage are the roots of that nourishes us. Every human, they're born, they belong to a certain place, certain society, and a loving family. You agree with me, na? But the society continues to be unaltered. In the story, in this story, like Glimpse of India, it has three parts, children. The three parts, the first part, it's a story about a baker from Goa. The second is some episodes of Kurk. Third is about the tea gardens of Assam. In all these three chapters, it has unfolded the beautiful picture of the tradition, culture that we Indians, are deep rooted with. Now, in this story, a baker from Goa, the it has pen portraited. Now, what is the meaning of pen portrait? In every chapter, often your teacher uses this term pen portrait. What does this mean? Children, it means described, right? So, in the story, beautifully it has pen portraited the life of a baker and the importance of a baker in Goa. The Portuguese, have you heard of the Portuguese? Yes, they first came to India and they landed in Goa. Yes, the Portuguese had left behind the makers of bread, those whose legacies prevail still day, children. Now, having this bread, loaf, bun, it was not in our culture before. It is not Indian culture. But as the invaders invaded India, they also left their cultures with us here. So, having this loaf, bread, these are all the cultures of the Portuguese. And now the bread has become such an important part of our breakfast that we cannot think anything. I know you like to eat parathas, but bread also, it secures an important place in your breakfast table. Right, children? So, today I'll be teaching you here in this chapter, and I'm sure that everybody will be enjoying it. So, we will start about the baker in Goa. Now, you could understand who is the baker, the person who bakes bread, cakes, muffins, right? Right, children? So, without wasting much of our time, let me check within one sec that how many of My dear children, they are in my class today. Let me check it. And then I'll start with the explanation with my style that I've prepared a PPT. And you know, preparing PPT, it takes time, but I think children, it gives you a very clear picture, because if I speak and speak, you won't retain the things back in your mind. But if I give you a presentation, that would be easier for you to retain back. I think so. And do get connected to me in the live chats. Wherever you are not understanding, please get connected. And my dear children, let me check how many of you are present in my class today. Right? Children, most of you are not there. Please join me as quickly as possible. And I have shared the syllabus of your August unit test also. Yes, you have got it? And start preparing, right? Every month we are having the unit test, so please don't miss the class. And we are giving you the PDFs, we are giving you the extra questions. Please carry on in learning the things as we are proceeding, right? So what we were speaking about the baker of Goa. So as usual, now I'll be turning on my PPT. Those who are having their mobile phones, please transfer it to your landscape mode, right? So you can see in your screen the Glimpse of India Part 1 by Lucio Rodriguez, isn't it? So what do? We first start about knowing something about the author. Lucio Rodriguez was a great Konkani essayist. Essayist means the person who writes essayist. He wrote several articles in English and Konkani to various periodicals and magazines. Now, periodicals, children, magazines, you have seen magazines coming to your home. Yes? Now, periodicals are also magazines which are published in periods like in 15 days, in fortnight, or in weekly, right? He served as the visiting professor of folklore at many universities and also a professor of English in Mumbai and Goa. His essays were posthumously published, means that was published after his death. Yes, under the title of Soil and Soul. Wonderful, isn't it? The name of Soil and Soul. And Konkani folk tales. Subtle humor and informal narrations are the essential features of his writings. So children, please know about the author whom we are studying, right? Now a brief introduction which I've already given you. A baker from Goa reveals around the relevance of a baker in the Goan culture. The culture of Goa is called Goan culture, which dates back to the time when Portuguese ruled over the city of Goa. Now, how many of you have visited Goa, children? Please write in the chat box. Now, if you visit there, you would find all the traces of the Portuguese rule in Goa. The architectures and all has a touch of Portuguese culture. Even their food, cuisine, everything. The Portuguese may have left, but the bread makers continue to have an inevitable stature, means an important place. In this story, the author recalls his childhood days and their excitement on seeing the baker. They were enthusiastic to the point that they would run to him as soon as they woke up without even brushing their teeth. Now, every chapter I teach you the morals and the messages. Here, I'll be teaching you the value points of the story. Right? Now, the elders often think fondly of good Portuguese days and their famous loaves of bread. The age old furnaces still bake those breads. Now, what do we know? That breads are baked in ovens, isn't it? But no, in Goa, they're still baked in those age old furnaces. The thud and jingle of the baker's bamboo announcing his arrival can still be heard in some places. Now, these things we miss in city life. But if you people have, you are rooted to your village house, then you can experience such things like the chanachur garam wala or the gulgappe wale. When they come, what they do, they makes a certain sound, isn't it? Jun jun jun, or they beat the utensils, isn't it? In this way, what they attract the customers, and we also wait for those thuds, isn't it? Those noises. Even today, these bakers are known as peda in Goa. What are they known as? Peda. What are they known as? Peda. Now I'll start the paragraph explanation. Now, children, those who are having their books, I think by now you have all got your textbooks. So I have explained the chapter according to the paragraphs and the word meanings also, the new words. So what you do is you just go through, after I finish the explanation, you will be going through the chapter. I'll share a chapter PDF also for those who haven't got the books yet. So you will go through the stanzas, the paragraphs, and then you will come back to the paragraph explanation of mine. Right? So in this way, you would be very clear about the chapter. Now for extract based question, children, you have to be very definite about each and every line of the paragraph, right? And if you have any problem, don't hesitate to ask me. Another thing, for word meanings, children, you often ask me, I do answer you. But I told you before that for word meanings, this is what my teacher taught me, children. For word meanings, if you open the dictionary and you go through the word meanings yourself, that will be more fruitful, because when I tell you the answer, you will just see, this word means this, and then the next moment you will forget. But when you take the pain of opening the dictionary, searching the word and get the meaning, sure you are going to retain it for a long time, right? So the first paragraph explanation. The story takes us back to the time when Portuguese ruled Goa. I told you that the Portuguese first landed in Goa and they had set up many colonies in Goa. They were immensely famous for their breads. The narrator often finds his elders thinking about those good old days and telling them that the famous breads date back to the time when Portuguese ruled over Goa. They ponder over the past and tell them that though the Portuguese have left Goa, but the bakers of bread still exists there. still remains there, right? If not the original ones, their legacy is being continued by their sons. Legacy means the custom which is transferred from one generation to the other, right? The bakers are still being referred to as padders, right? Everything about baking is still the same. As I told you, the furnaces are still the same furnaces, ranging from those who mold the bread loaves to the furnaces which have survived the ravages of time. The sound of their arrival and the thud of their bamboo stick can still be heard just like the olden times. Right? Now, what are the new words of this paragraph? Reminiscing nostalgically. Reminiscing means children thinking, recollecting. Nostalgically means when very fondly we recall our past. Okay, so thinking fondly of the past. Now, this term you can use in your write ups, right? Loaves, everybody knows. Plural of loaf. Bread that is shaped and baked in a single piece and can be sliced for eating. Vanished means disappear suddenly and completely. Molders, a person who molds dough into shape. A person who molds dough into a shape. Furnaces, an enclosed structure in which materials can be heated to a very high temperature. Extinguished, cause a fire to cease to burn. Heralding, announcing. Pada, the word for breaker in Portuguese language. Now, the narrator recalls that the baker acted as their friend and companion during their childhood days in Goa. The baker used to visit twice a day. So, how many times the baker used to visit? Twice a day. And what name the baker was called with? Pedas. While he was on round to sell his loaves at the other time while returning back with his empty basket, having sold all the loaves. It was the sound of of his bamboo stick that woke the children up. The children were so excited to meet him and choose from the bread bangles or the konkan he made specially for them. While the bangles were for children, loaves were for the adults, and that were generally collected by the maidservant of the household. The new words: companion, a person with whom one spends a lot of time. Jingling, make or cause to make a light metallic ringing sound like jin 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 jin, right? Now coming to the third paragraph, children. The baker often made a musical entry with his bamboo stick. His one hand supported the basket on his head while the other banged the bamboo on the ground. He would go house to house and greet the ladies before handing them over the loaves. The parents would scold the children and make them stand aside. But as eager as they were, they would climb a bench or the wall to peep into the basket. They did not even bother to brush their teeth before having those bread bangles because it seemed unnecessary effort for them to pluck mango leaves from the branches to use them for brushing the teeth. They considered brushing unnecessary because the hot tea would effortlessly wash their mouth, and they thought that animals like the tiger never brushed their teeth. Right? The new words from this paragraphs are staff means stick, rebuke an expression of disapproval, a scolding, fragrance, a pleasant sweet smell, parapet, railing, or a low protective wall. Bangles here refers to the bread in the shape of a bangle called kankan. Right? Now the paragraph 4. Bread is an important part of Goan culture, and it is evident that its presence at every important occasion, from sweetbreads at marriages to sandwiches at engagement parties and cakes and coconut cookies at Christmas, as well as the other occasions, makes the presence of a baker in every village very essential. So why the baker is essential in a village? What would you say? Because bread is an important part of the food and cuisine in Goan culture, right? And then you will write, it is evident that in every important occasion, from sweetbreads in the marriages or in the sandwiches in the engagement party, or we could see the cakes and the cookies at the Christmas, at every occasion we can find the delicacies prepared by the bakers. So the bakers were very important in Goa. The new words in the paragraph 4 is feast, means a large meal, typically a celebratory one. Now Bolin hands means another name of coconut cookies. What's the name of coconut cookies? Bolin hands. Now the 5th paragraph, you can see the picture of a baker. The bakers were known to have owned unique knee-length frock dress. You can see the dress, it is there on the screen. Typically known as kabai. What is the name of the dress, children? Kabai. What is the name of the dress of the unique dress of the baker? It is kabai. In the narrator's childhood days, he had seen them wearing shirts and pants whose length was shorter than the usual ones. It was a part of their identity, so much so that even if someone wears that trousers length now, he is said to have dressed like a baker or a peda, as was said in olden times. The picture you have seen, children? Now the para 6. The baker had a way of making monthly records. Now the bakers, they used to, at early in the morning, they used to come out producing some musical sound, right? And having a basket on their head and filled with the breads and the loaves, isn't it? So now they used to move from door to doors, distributing those. They used to greet the ladies in the house and they used to distribute those loaves. Now, how they used to account That has been described in this paragraph, right? The baker had a way of making monthly record of bills on a wall using a pencil and then collecting the money at the end of the month. जैसे कि वो घर घर घूमते थे और दीवार में, उस घर के दीवार में used to account it. Right? Baking has always been a profitable profession. The baker's family and the workers have always been happy and joyous. The baker was usually fat, which was a proof that he had lot to eat and hence was a proof of his richness. Even to this day, someone with a well-built body is compared to a baker. Now, just coming at the end of the chapter, I have framed some questions. Just these questions are framed just to recapitulate what we have learned in the chapter, right? What did the bakers wear, children? Just now I said. In the Portuguese days, the bakers had a peculiar dress known as cabai. It was a single piece long frock reaching down to the knees. When the author was young, he saw the bakers wearing a shirt and trousers. So it had changed with the author, which were shorter than the full length ones and longer than half. A baker is recognized by his musical entry of jingling of the bamboo stick. He supported the basket on his head with one hand and banged the bamboo on the ground with the other. Next question. When would the baker come every day? The baker came twice every day, children. Yes, remember? Once when he set out in the morning on his selling round, and then again when he used to return after emptying his huge basket. The children ran to meet him not because of their love of the loaf, which was brought by the maidservant of the house, because they used to run as they used to love the bakers. What importance does a baker enjoys in Goa? A baker is important and essential for a Goan village. He does not merely represent a profession but highly admired Portuguese tradition. His breads are essential on each and every occasion. He enjoys respect and love of the people. So, with this, we complete the chapter, and what you are going to do now, children, hope you like the chapter. Now, all these three parts about a baker in this chapter, then the court, the next chapter, then about the tea gardens of the Assam. They are very short stories, but I'm sure that you would be enjoying the stories. Now, children, I'll be sharing the PDF of the extra questions, right? And you would write the extra questions in your notebooks. Answers, you will get it in the PDF. And what else you are doing? You are writing the cover page, including it in the index, in your literature notebooks. You are doing it, isn't it? And what else you are doing? You are going through the chapter thoroughly. If you are having any problem, children, don't hesitate to share with me. You can share it in the live chat also in the next class, right? or you can ask me in the WhatsApp group also, right? So be safe, be indoors, keep on studying because I want my students to be the best. You have seen the results this time, children, and this is not our last benchmark. We believe in breaking our benchmarks. So this time I want more and more 95 plus marks in English. And I know you would give me, won't you? Goodbye, children.